Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to the another episode of Every Robot Wars episode reviewed. This week it is Heat D of Series 1, and I have my returning guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, returning guest?
Hello, it's me, Anderson9132 again. Oh boy, I'm looking forward to this one.
Ah ha ha, yes, it is pretty apparent, if you know Anderson quite well, this is his least favourite Heat of the series.
Oh yes.
Oh, yes,
For those,
yes.
for those for those of you who have seen the podcast I do on Sam Elliott 64's channel, where I've been quite PG and tame, yeah, that ain't gonna happen this time. I'm afraid. Sorry, you're gonna
Sorry.
see a darker side to me.
Don't worry, that is the way we like things here.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, so we'll probably this is an interesting heat actually because it's thankfully it's an episode without stock robots for a change. Um,
Yes.
so we haven't had this set since Mortis's heat, but
Yep.
also this is a very unique heat because they're all tiny, tiny little robots in this heat. They just got every small robot and just put them into one gigantic heat and went, well, whoever's going to win this is still not going to win the series because Roblox in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hell, you know, every other robot is at least twice as heavy as it.
It's like putting a smart car up against a tank. It just doesn't work, I'm afraid.
It
And don't
doesn't,
get me
yeah,
wrong, before anybody says it right now, I'm just going to say it now. I love featherweights. I respect them. I think it's amazing just how much technology has evolved that you can fit such deadly little machines into such deadly components into one little tiny machines. But in series one, they just were nothing. They were just nothing. I'm
pretty much,
sorry.
pretty much most of these, apart from maybe Bugs and Cunning Plan, they're all just RC cars with a different shell.
Yes,
That's all
pretty
they are.
much.
Actually, yeah, I mean, actually, no, actually, Vector again might not be either, but yeah, at least half of them are, and it's obvious and apparent by the way they move and how they drive and how they can't really steer anywhere very well. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
Onslaught, but make it smaller and worse. You've
Yeah.
these. But anyway, we'll get on to the robots then, and we'll start with the Heat winner, who got the biggest disadvantage in the grand final battle, Cunning
Yes.
Plan. The
Ah,
the probably most competent robot in this entire heat, which is probably why it won. But
yes, I do like Cunning Plan, simply because it reminds me a lot of a very early La Machine.
I think that's
Um,
well. Speaking of La Machine, obviously that'll be I think there's a robot later on this heat that basically copies that design to an absolute T.
yes,
But this
we'll
is
get to that later.
definitely your standard wedge robot, and also it's the first.
The first La Machine looked just like Cunning Plan, and the second one looked just like a robot that's going to happen later on in this heat.
Ah, yeah, of course, yes. But this is the first entry from a. I wouldn't say like the most respected robot here, but he definitely made a few interesting robots. There's Oliver Steeples, the first appearance of this guy, and you'll see him in series 2 and 3 as well.
He
Um,
made the first ever amp wave, if I'm 100% right in thinking, and
I, you might have.
he also made the Griffin machines,
No, I think
and
no, I think it was oh, what's his name? The guy who did Corporal Punishment, Adam Clark. I think he was the first Ant-Weight guy.
oh, he might have been.
He judged it in the Extreme series because he was like the guy who pioneered it in Britain. So
Yes, that is true. I believe
also
that
he's
is the
also in this
case.
heat later on, and not
Yes.
as good as he normally does. But
But one thing about Oliver Steeples that you might not know is that he was actually the man who helped build R2 for the latest Star Wars movie.
it's true. Like every series of this show, they mention he's a Star Wars fan. Like it's the only thing that he's got going for him in his own like.
And he ended up working on it later on when they made a new
It's
one.
it's perfect foreshadowing because he's part of the R. I think the R2 or like the rope that you build like
Yeah.
make lifeline models, and he thought, they hired him for the actual movies, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
So he's actually, yeah, he's gone a long way from a tiny little robot that he can actually carry with his own hands without having to like put.
Yeah.
Actually, that was
But
quite funny though when he was going into the battles, he was just carrying it under his arm like it was a
yeah.
handbag. That's like
It's like,
this is how pathetically small these robots are. That you
yeah.
didn't even have to bother using two hands to carry it.
It weighed 11.1 kilos, if I'm 100% right in
Yeah,
thinking.
and this is one of the heaviest
Uh,
robots in this heat.
yes.
So
But I will admit, I do like Cunning Plan just because it reminds me a lot of a throwback to La Machine, which I thought was amazing. Just such a simple design is so effective, and I like simplicity, simple but effective. So
it was
what I
also
don't
probably
like is simple and ineffective, which is basically every other robot in this heat.
it was arguably probably the best, most well-driven robot in this heat as well. Hence
Yes.
why it managed to win because it was the most competent of the lot and didn't revolve car steering. It actually had proper steering on it, so
Yeah, definitely.
it's a really good robot. It's definitely not the most interesting design wise, but effective wise, it's probably the most effective out in this heat by far.
Definitely. And if it was a heavyweight version of it, I think it could have done pretty well in the final. Actually,
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't
it's
have got
just this.
squashed.
Yeah, it's just this thing about Series One. Obviously, that obviously they didn't have definite weight categorizations of who could be in what heats. It's like, oh, you just put a middleweight with a heavyweight, go ahead. And then it's
Fuck
like,
off, Barry.
yeah, Barry, and it's like, yeah, heat. Yeah, you got like Robot the Bruce versus Wedgehog, who's like 3 times heavier than it. So
Yes.
then you got these big problems that start occurring, and you start thinking, oh, we better have weight limits for Series Two and onwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that thing they did in Series Two. Where they had all different the weight things, like different champions for different weight limits. With what they should have done, but obviously in Series One, you don't have enough robots, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it's only fair. They had to make up the numbers somehow.
Yeah, although it's really annoying in
Yeah.
Series Two that they showed all these different side events, none of which were actually going to show you, just show you the highlights of them. Which
Yes.
I don't
I
get why
wish
they
they
couldn't have
could.
just made a whole episode of showing those. But
I know. I agree. I
I mean,
agree entirely.
when I was younger, I thought to myself, I thought I'd missed an episode when I was younger because they're showing all these
Yeah.
highlights. I was like, wait, I don't remember this.
But no, just a highlight reel
No,
because screw you fans, eh?
yeah,
But we'll get to that when we get to it.
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure.
more of a side event episode anyway. But
Yes.
yeah, back to Cunning Plan. It's really again, there's not too much to talk about the actual robot. I mean, it's actually driven well, and it's sad to think that this robot, despite it just being a simple featherweight with a wedge design, nothing too amazing, did better than the more well-engineered Griffin.
Yes. That
Even,
is also very disappointing.
it's sort of paradoxical. Like you put more effort into the robot, and you somehow made it worse.
Yes.
But I don't
Fuck
get
off,
how you can do it.
Mortis.
Yeah, at least Mortis though at least was consistent for the most part.
I suppose. Yeah.
Plus, Griffin had more expectations, and again, speaking of copying American robots, it's just basically Biohazard but worse.
Yeah. Basically, yes.
A lot of American copies in
Definitely.
these earlier series.
Yes.
I think there's we were more competing against them back in the day. Now it's sort of BattleBots and robots are completely different.
Yes. Definitely.
But we'll get to the runner-up of this seat, and also the future featherweight champion of Series Two,
Yep. First ever
Demolished.
featherweight champion,
Yes,
Demolisher. Yeah.
Demolished. Yes, a robot that, honestly, to sum it up, is like too fast for its own good.
Yes,
This
I
thing,
agree. I mean,
apart
oh,
from its first battle, it flipped itself over in every single appearance, and then it crashes into the wall when it comes out of the gate.
yeah, literally. Apart from like I said, in the gauntlet, it surprised me. I'm not gonna lie, because I
Mm.
mean, I as usual, I watched the episode today, and I couldn't remember how well it did in the gauntlet. It shocked me at how quickly it completed the gauntlet. And I was like, oh wow, maybe it's a really well driven machine. No,
There actually,
no.
there actually is there actually is something interesting about the Gauntlet Run, which I'll mention when we actually get to that a bit. But it's not as
Yeah,
straightforward as they made it.
yeah. Okay, well, that's probably why it ended up third and not first.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to editing. We'll get to that later. But
Yes.
Demolisher is definitely the one of the fastest robots ever put in the series. It
Mm.
is ultra fast, but again, it's got no control. So
Yeah, another,
it goes in a direction and hope it goes in the right direction. That's sort of how it works. It's sort of like Shumi in Series Two.
yeah.
No control whatsoever, and it's just an RC car. Those things are hard to control for the first time using them. I have known many times and many ones that are broken. But yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. All right.
I'm sorry. And another thing I don't really like about the Demolisher is its weaponry. Those two spikes just put a little bit. They were put at an awkward angle on the robot, so they can't really get to anything.
No.
And again, it's really unbalanced. So like you said, it just kept throwing itself over just by going around corners.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
it flipped itself
well
over in
done, lads.
Trials. Trials is probably
Yeah.
its funniest flip over.
Yeah. In all honesty, right, I'm just going to say this now. If that hadn't have been righted, they would have lost in the trial. Let's just say that, shall we?
Well,
But I'll tell you what. There's a rant to come at the end of that, and I will tell you that when we get to the trial. I will say that
brilliant,
rant then.
brilliant stuff. We'll save it for that.
Yes.
But again, as I said before, they actually become the featherweight champions in Series Two. Again, a battle we didn't get to see,
Yeah.
but
Well, we saw 10 seconds of it.
yeah, we saw 10 seconds. I mean, it's probably the most competent one out of the three I saw of them. So it actually moved.
Yeah, more than likely. It moves more than an inch forward, so yeah, I'll give it that.
Yeah, I mean, Demolisher actually, I think has the only like kid, like not in like school or something, like high school in this entire series.
Yes.
Like,
And to be
there's a
honest,
few kids in there, but like,
all credit to him, because he was a very young kid. He
hmm.
was a reasonably good driver.
I
He
think
wasn't
for yeah,
amazing. He was no Tim Davis or Alan, or David Gribble, but he was a decent driver for his age, especially.
yeah, he's
Especially with his class roadway. The road was a little slower. He probably would have been a lot better.
yeah, he's no TR2 driver, obviously, but he's got room for improvement. And that's the whole point.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know what I don't know
So,
if they
if you're
tried again.
watching this, kids, if you're listening to this, well done.
Yeah, well done. It wasn't bad. I mean, you're the only kid representing this entire series, so under 10 basically. So go ahead,
Yeah.
do it.
The fact that he's probably, about 25 now, it's
Probably, yeah.
quite scary actually, but still.
He's old and bitter like what we are.
Yes.
But yeah, that was Demolisher. Way too fast for its own good, but not the worst thing ever. Speaking of the worst thing ever,
Oh God.
your personal least favorite of this entire series. I'm not even saying heat here.
Yeah.
Series bugs.
Oh God. Bugs. What
Actually,
the hell was that thing? I'm
I
sorry.
it's a vacuum cleaner. That's what it is.
It's a vacuum. Woo. Wow. Yes, because not being funny, right? But a vacuum cleaner didn't even prove to be a good enough opponent for Ming Dynasty in Series 7.
Oh,
So
good
this is
God,
pre-
that
this
thing.
is pre- this is pretty much saying no. I mean, no, the thing is, I know it's Series 1. Okay,
Hmm.
but that thing had to be perhaps the single most uncontrollable robot I have ever seen in the history of the show. Watch every single performance it does. It just spins around on the spot and does feckle. There's just no control behind it. I think maybe Crazy Tokyo has worse control, but that's probably good because it's got the same Demolisher effect. It's just too quick for its own good. Bugs wasn't that fast, and they still couldn't bloody control the damn thing to a decent fight or a decent even.
Carry on.
Right, sorry about that. So, basically, I mean, in its gauntlet run, it bumped into one little thing and just stopped working on one side. Okay,
Hmm.
in the trial, it had to be pushed across the line just across one lap. And then in its battle, which again I will get to because that's a rant and a half in itself, the battle it was in, it was pathetic. It had no weapon. Sorry, I don't count a ramming cone as a weapon. Right, that's a cop out, and you know it. Right, it's a little plastic thing on the front. That's not a weapon. Its drive was terrible. It just was so hard to control. I mean, even for a Series 1 robot, it was a really poor attempt at a robot.
I can agree. It was it's just a pathetic excuse. I don't get what the point of the vacuum cleaner pipe thing sticking out of it was even for. It makes no
So it can get
sense.
snapped. I
Oh,
know.
yeah, I don't know, but actually, one thing I've ever got to point out, actually, I don't know why for years, I think because I'm just so focused on how rubbish the robot is, that
Yeah,
it came to light recently. I thought to myself, why is it plural? It's not a Gemini robot. It's
yeah,
bug, not bugs.
yeah. But yeah,
It's not a rabbit. It's not like it's a Bugs Bunny thing. It's just bugs.
they
The
couldn't even get the name right. That
No,
says it
they
all, doesn't
couldn't
it?
even do it. Yeah, it's an overall really bad robot, and it got very lucky in the gauntlet to get pushed halfway down the court by Matilda at one
Yes,
point.
definitely so. They were very lucky in the trial as well, which again we'll get to, because
Yeah,
again that's a whole rant in itself.
that is true. And also, even in the battles, there is one pathetic detail I have to mention later that really pushes it to a new level of just. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll get more onto bugs as it starts getting through the heat somehow. But
yes.
yeah, the other runner up in the battles, which actually wasn't the worst robot, but it was kind of the most average of the robots, Saturn, the bull thing. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's supposed to be a cow, but I don't know why they bothered even making it moo and have smoke coming out. It's just useless stuff, really, put into the robot. But
Full TV, I guess, but it wasn't really going to help aid them in the battles or anything.
oh, hands down, the most visually pleasing robot in this heat, at
Well, yeah, it's more
least.
than just a box on wheels, isn't it? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they put some design to it to an extent, and to its credit, like I said, it's more the average robot in the heat because it was like the speed was 10 miles an hour, so it's okay.
Yep.
It actually had a nice.
Cunning plan speed was the same.
That's true, yes, and also it had average speed for for a featherweight. It it actually made a quite a nice maneuver against Matilda in the gauntlet, kind of like going like faking her out then driving around her, which I thought was pretty
Yeah,
impressive. And it
very well driven robot.
surprisingly so actually for the only car steering robot out of the three, it was the one that was driven the best.
Yes.
Um, I mean the weapons obviously did nothing, but they weren't going to anyway.
Nah.
But it's one of those robots like it's the most average robot of one of the most average robots of the series. It's sort of like Full Metal Anorak in some ways. I just don't really have an opinion on it, apart from it just looks
It's
alright.
it was just there.
Yeah,
It
it
just
just
just existed, sort of thing. You know,
yeah, it's
it was nothing offensive, nothing bad. It just wasn't anything
yeah.
overly great either.
I mean, it's not like it's not Psycho Sprout where it's so weird looking, or it's not Mortis where you remember because it's been loads of series. It's like I can name all the bad robots and the good robots really easily, but when it comes to like the average robots, I have to think really hard to go, wait, who would I actually not remember?
Yeah, the,
And
the the only thing I would really like to say about Saturn is I would rather have seen them in the Heat final. That's the only thing I can really say about it, to be honest.
I guess so. I mean, I don't really get the name. To be honest, I mean that's one thing I've always wondered like for years. What's the name actually mean?
Oh, Saturn's the bull. Saturn, it's like a star thing, star reading thing. There's a sat. I think this is right. There's a type one. When you see pictures in the stars,
Right.
one of them Saturn the bull.
Oh
I think.
right, I didn't actually know that. Well, I've only learned that after 18 years. I finally know what the hell
Yeah,
that name means. But
yeah. So, hopefully that's correct.
I don't know if
But
it's
it's not
sounds
quite
right.
as terrible though, is it? That name, that terrible's a good name
That's
compared.
it's one of the best and worst names ever.
Yes.
I'm sure Master Wrath approves of that because it's punny.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably one of the most punny names out there, really.
Yeah, Saturn though, they went into the gauntlet at like a bull in the china shop. Wait, no, okay, sorry.
No, just don't. But anyway, yeah. The one about the one that sorry, one lost in the trials, which is a fairly unique trials. We'll get to that. Your rant is building up. It
Yes.
it is Crazy Tokyo with a weird spelling on the crazy for no reason, and there's nothing to do with Japan, so I don't know why it's called Crazy Tokyo either. But
Those are really hits. I don't know.
I, d- I mean, this is one of those robots that Jeremy Clarkson really got into because it's one of the worst looking robots in the series.
Oh, yeah. It looks like a boot on wheels. I'm sorry.
Yeah, a
It
boot.
just
Yeah, I think he described it as a bubblegum racket. I think what he's going to say. Yeah, bubblegum
yeah,
packet. That's it.
something like that. It wasn't. I mean, again, it suffered from the same problem with Demolisher. Really, just too quick for its own good, and not reliable enough.
No
I
real
mean,
weapon either.
yeah, no weapon, too quick for its own good, and a single bump or nudge and it's dead.
Yeah,
That's never going to do well.
I mean it died in both the Gauntlet and the Trials here, so it was clearly the most unreliable mechanics wise.
Yeah, it made Juggernaut 2 look reliable.
Oh no! It made Kryptonite or Twister look
Oh,
reliable.
no.
I
It,
know the
oh,
Series 5 is still bad. I don't care what Sam says. I don't like it.
yeah.
But
Oh, Sam
oh yeah, true. But Crazy Tokyo is certainly one of those. I mean, it was one of those robots that just really was not going to win the heat, and you knew it unless it massively looked out. But yeah, it's not a very good robot. I mean,
if everything literally died before coming into contact with it, then yeah, it was.
I mean, it's one of those robots you just have to look at and you think, oh, it's not going to do very well. And without any
I
prejudice,
mean,
and it's right.
there's plenty of robots like that, like the Iron Mask in Series 3, for example. It's a robot you just look at it and think, yeah, that ain't going to win. You
Yeah,
know?
or the creature in Series 4.
Oh, yes,
That
yes.
was not going to win. It was not going to
No,
win.
wasn't good for anything at all. Or bloody Shogun, and it's like no,
No,
no, no. Banshee.
you're there to make the numbers up, and that's it.
Yeah, that is pretty much it. The only reason
Yeah,
Banshee got in the series was because it looked good.
probably. But yeah, Crazy Tokyo is nothing really that good. But one very very unlucky robot in this heat actually was Adam Clark, the legendary Adam Clark's first ever attempt at a robot, Vector of Armageddon, the longest name in the series by far.
Yes.
And
Um.
uh, what a shame for this.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, right, I would have said that this was probably joint best robot of the heat, really, with Cunning Plan.
Hmm.
So it was a shame that it lost so early on, really. And this is again, I'll probably get to this when I actually get to the gauntlet, actually, but it's a bit of a rant again, shock horror. So I'll get to that when we get to the gauntlet. But it was a very big shame that it didn't surpass, because I personally thought that this would probably be one of the better robots of the series. Well, of this heat, I mean, not the series, obviously, it would never do anything against anybody else, but it could have at least been a heat finalist. And I think maybe could have even beaten Cunning Plan.
It might have. I mean, we're more of a better fight than the eventual heat final we get.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah,
Jesus
but
Christ.
there's so many spoilers, so many things to look forward to in this review.
Yeah,
But
spoiler.
no, but
10 years later.
the thing about Vector Armageddon is, I mean, looking at on hindsight, I mean, advice in hindsight is one of the stupidest things ever. But if I had to go to the past and I could tell him one thing, I'd say to him, first of all, make 259 reliable.
Yes,
But
please.
secondly, Wobot's a stupid name for a robot. I don't care where it came from. It's a stupid name.
Yeah.
And thirdly, right, I would have just like after you got over the first ramp, which he barely got up to begin with. Admittedly, he was kind of sliding side to side, barely getting up it. My advice would be just go in the gap between the ramp and the drills. He would have got through that pretty easily, I think.
Yeah,
Or
I
just
think so.
or randomly decide to go against the house rollers. I mean, he probably got a little bit further than Bugs. Probably it wasn't that much further behind Bugs, really.
No, it wasn't.
It actually,
Was it like it barely, I don't even think it was a meter behind, was it?
yeah, I think so, barely. I mean, it did a Phoenix, didn't it? And became the one of infamously became the robot that got the furthest in the gauntlet without getting through it.
Yeah, yeah, another robot that's nowhere near as good, cough cough Scrapper, for example, and
No,
somehow.
oh no, no,
Ah,
oh, oh, no, 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 no. The worst heat for that is Tracy's heat because you have Talk of the Devil. No
oh
body, no,
God, yeah.
no body hammer. Sorry, Talk of the Devil and Psycho Sprout in the same heat, who got further than Warthog. Yeah, they didn't even deserve
Oh,
that, but whatever. Again, it's just one of those things like two robots I could easily think could have gone out on that stage, but didn't. And it's another example here where Bugs, I'd rather seen Bugs go out than Vector of Armageddon.
yeah,
I mean, it was a very anticlimactic run, though.
it
Up,
definitely, yeah, it was definitely.
but I mean, there's no house robot interference. House robots didn't come in at any point, so there's a clear gap to go and get them. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those things, and he came back with some slightly better robots, but until then.
yeah.
Also, he got rid of that.
Until
He got rid of the beard, which is good.
yes. Well, he's probably growing that back now because beards are the thing now, aren't they?
Apparently so. Apparently so.
I'm the only male in the ways I work that actually does another beard. It's quite upsetting.
What a
But
shame.
yeah,
What it must
I
be
don't want
terrible.
a beard.
It must be terrible for you.
It is.
But anyway, we'll get to the gauntlet runs, and because they're tinier robots, half of them would decide to just go straight for the labyrinth, which
Yes.
isn't a bad idea. Well, actually, I think no, two of them did, but it's more than they normally do,
Yeah.
and it,
Well,
it made sense for these guys.
well, I'll say that. I mean, Cunning Plans run was pretty damn good.
So was
You
Saturn
know,
actually as
and
well.
Saturn's was amazing. As you said, there was a bit of editing technical difficulties with Demolisher because you saw Demolisher go around,
Hmm.
and then I actually saw this as well when I watched it. You saw it go around, then you saw the kid who looked like Buckwheat from fucking Little Rascals try and take the controls off the little kid,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden Jeremy Clarkson comes out and says, "Well done." It's like, well, why did you try and take the controls off of it?
No,
It's obvious, and then you see he's been placed third. It's like, why has he been placed third when
well, the
it
reason why
could have
is
been Saturn?
actually
Well,
they tried to edit it out, but you can actually see it slightly when the first time it hits Sergeant Bash or one of the robots, I think it's Sergeant Bash. You see it
yeah,
move slightly, then they cut away from it, and then it drives to the end. And it's because
yeah.
Sergeant Bash actually flipped them over by accident as he ran into them.
Ah, that's a surprise.
Yeah, actually, I mean, if you watch that, you actually watch it again very slightly. You actually can see the moment where it's almost about to tip over, and they cut it out very quickly.
I honestly think Demolisher is the only robot to have been flipped upside down every single thing it was in and still make a heat final.
Except its battle against Saturn. I think that's the only time it didn't flip
No,
over.
it was flipped over there as well.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
When Matilda tried to chainsaw into Saturn. We'll get to
Wow,
that later.
this thing's more unstable than Scrapper.
Yes. Now to my little rant.
Hmm.
Vector of Armageddon lost because of the gauntlet. This is why the gauntlet should not have existed. Simply because, right, not being funny, but Bugs and Crazy Tokyo had no feckin' right in being in the arena stages, either of them. They had absolutely no right whatsoever. They had no chance of winning a fight. They were not battle worthy, but because they were able to move slightly further than than a robot that was better than them, the better robot lost.
Yeah.
That's Now. Don't get me wrong. I completely understand that driving skill is an essential part of robot combat, but again, it's more useful in the fights.
Hmm.
And neither Crazy Tokyo or Bugs had decent driving anyway. Both of them wouldn't have done even well in the fights. Meanwhile, Vector Armageddon, I think, would have done. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think that if you're going to have a show based on robot combat, and I know driving is an essential part, but again, you can show off essential and good driving in the arena stages. Cough, cough, firestorm, and Pussycat. You know what I mean? So, in all, the gauntlet wasn't a needed thing
No.
because at the end of the day, and all of the trials, just simply because you can have good driving in the matches
Hmm.
and still do well with it. you know?
I know what you mean. And yes, in fairness, though, I think out of the two, Crazy Tokyo definitely proved they're a little bit better in the gauntlet. than bugs.
Even if it did immobilize us up by bumping into a spring.
Oh yeah, and actually that's the point. What the hell
Christ.
happened to Matilda in this gauntlet? She just
Yeah,
exploded for
she
some
just
reason.
started farting smoke, didn't she? She had too many beans, I think, the night before or something.
It
She
wasn't as bad as her against Razor in the Southern Annihilator. I mean, she really got
cough, cough,
she got completely destroyed in that. But
cough, cough, rigged, cough, cough.
I know, but it's just kind of funny though watching it. But this, yeah, I don't get what happened. She just got stuck under springs and just started farting smoke for about a minute. And I don't know
I
what
think
happened to her.
I have no idea. I think, yeah, I honestly have no idea what
Nah,
happened. But yeah, it was a very big shame though to see Vector of Armageddon lose as quickly as it did, because I personally think it would have been a very worthy Heat finalist.
indeed. And then we have the trials, which is a like a few trials in this series, a unique one. Never appears again. It is the rally or the race car we will call it. And this is not the best one in the world. It works for the robots in this heat, granted,
Yes.
but it wouldn't work for any like heavyweights. I mean, you would never be able
No.
to get like imagine Psycho Sprout in this. That'd be hilarious.
Yes.
The thing can't
Now
even turn.
I'm gonna say this as well. I mean, I don't like this trial at all. I think it's silly. I don't see how driving around a track quickly is going to mean that you deserve to go through to the next round. Again, referring to this now, just again, this is why I don't think the trial should exist. Just imagine if Demolisher wasn't accidentally rewrited by Cunning Plan. They would have lost here, and both Crazy Tokyo and Bugs would have managed to make it through to the arena stages. No, 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 should not have happened. No, thankfully it didn't. But you know what I mean. And again, another thing I don't like about the trials is, like you said, this benefits the robots in this heat.
Hmm.
But that's just it. For example, imagine if the heats had happened a little differently. Imagine if Roadblock ended up in Heat E, and
Oh,
it was in the Labyrinth episode. It would have
hmm.
been screwed because it would have had no chance getting through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't think you should put robots. You know, I just think that personally the trials decided that robots who, by all means, were decent and deserved to be in the arena because they could do really well,
Hmm.
unfortunately ridded them of it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I don't like the corner of the trials.
Imagine another analogy. Like imagine in Series Two, you remember Ron in the sumo, one
Yes,
of the worst, probably the worst sumo run ever invented.
yes,
Imagine if they'd gone in the barrels, or if they'd gone
yeah, in the
it,
Skittles or something like that. Yeah,
yeah, Skittles, or if they'd managed to get in the football. You know, they could have
yeah.
actually had a bit more of a chance than just getting instantly KO'd by Shunt.
With their speed and power, their speed and four-wheel drive nippiness, they would have been much better at those two trials.
I mean,
Exactly, I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. Considering unlike something like Tender Caress, which was terribly controlled, Ron actually was okay controlled. It just got unlucky. And yeah, and it's the same thing with this one. Like, yeah, Roadblock. I mean, Psycho Sprout couldn't get past the labyrinth. It couldn't. It couldn't even turn.
Yeah,
Yet robots like obviously like Full Metal Anorak can get through because they have no problem. But then you get like in the sumo. Imagine if this had been the sumo heat.
yeah. None of
That
them
was
would have.
either Shunt would have crushed them or they would just been pushed off.
Well, Demolisher would have probably just driven off. It would have just charged it and just flown off his shovel and died.
It would it,
That
would- it,
would have
would
been it.
it would have done what Shumi did in Series Two. Just
Yes,
drive off the edge instantly.
exactly.
But yeah, this trial. I mean, the only funny thing about this trial was the fact that Shunt had a flag instead of an axe. I don't know why. That's the only funny thing.
Oh,
That was the only
what
thing
was
funny about.
Sergeant Bash even doing? Literally, he was just Ernest and Shun. All right, he was the flag bearer. What did Sergeant Bash do? He just sat there.
I don't know. He wanted executive seating. Come on, he paid for it.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I mean, he could have at least done a flick of his flamethrower, but he didn't even do that.
No, he didn't do that. He was just sitting around doing nothing really.
Just chilling, you know, waiting for
Yeah,
the call him back. You know.
yeah, but yeah, this trial would definitely only benefited the robots in this heat. And again, if any other heat had happened, it would have been boring. Plus, I have to say a point before you actually, I really agree. We made a point before the fact that it does benefit robots that are faster, and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if I don't know, Plunderbird had to go against this. They're slow as fuck. They
Yeah,
would
no, yeah, this series they were really slow. They would have had no chance.
actually any series. I think up until series four, where they finally got a bit faster, but like the other series, are really slow.
Yeah.
And
It
like,
was series 5 when they really got, because they got a skid steer system
and they had
instead of the
wheels
track.
and wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, at first, we didn't see how fast it could go in series three because it didn't really last very long.
Well, it
But
spun in the circle and then died, didn't it? But
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much. But yeah, they would have been screwed. Roadblock's slow. Nemesis isn't even that fast. Killatron's not that fast. There's so many like decent-ish robots in this series that would have completely lost in this trials if they'd been in it.
Robot the Bruce. That wasn't very quick. You know, in fact,
Tra-
all six finalists apart from Cunning Blame
yeah,
easily
true.
would have lost to this.
Actually, Tracy was quite fast at 10 miles an hour. Actually, it just
Yeah,
never, it just
but
never,
because
it
it
just
was
never.
because it was bigger, it would have been harder to maneuver around the corners.
Yeah, it did have a zero turning circle though, but spikes would have got in the way, as it found out in its own trials. They can't
Yes,
steer.
yes, because she's a bitch. Not
Apparently
my
so.
words.
No, it's their words, not mine. They could say it in '98. But yeah, so yeah, Crazy Tokyo just died, so they went out.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And also, again, like I said, the only reason Bugs won because if you saw where Crazy Tokyo died just before the line,
Yeah.
and Demolisher accidentally pushed Bugs over the line,
Hmm.
and Bugs was further back, so Bugs wouldn't have made it to. Again, just due to sheer damn luck, they managed to make it through. And Crazy Tokyo, the boot on wheels, gets the boot.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, yeah, it's fine. Puns are aplenty.
Yes.
So yeah, so Crazy Tokyo gets knocked out, and we have our four finalists ready for the battles. First battle we have Cunning Plan against Bugs, and this was a crap fight because of Bugs, not because of Cunning Plan, purely
Oh,
because Bugs was in this fight.
right. Okay, I'm going to say it now. Right. The definition of a fight for me that is worthy of being classed as a fight. So, for example, like Dreadnought versus Rattus Rattus, that doesn't count in my opinion because Rattus Rattus didn't even move.
Hmm.
Right. A battle to me is when both robots move and come into contact with each other at least once.
Yeah.
That's exactly that is the basic definition of a battle, and that is exactly what happened here. They both moved. Bug spun around a bit, got nudged by Cunning Plan, drove onto the grill, finished.
It's the
What the hell was that?
most bare minimum fight ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, literally, it was just like, well, lads, what do we have to do? Have a fight again? Well, we've got to move forward and touch them. Brilliant. We'll do that, and then we'll commit suicide.
Yeah. Actually,
Uh,
I did mention, I did tease earlier that there was a certain thing about what happened, why Bugs was even shitter than normal. The reason why is they mentioned afterwards they put on a caster that doesn't work.
so basically, it had the Tesco shopping trolley with the dodgy wheel effect.
Yes, it had Mace's wheels. It had those weird ones that just shopping trolleys. Those.
God, bloody sake! This is the. And also, it didn't have its weapon either. Well, you can even call it a weapon, but it didn't have that on
No,
it either, did it?
no, it
What
was
were they
just.
actually hoping to do in this fight? Just out of curiosity.
I don't.
Honestly,
I have
this is
no
the
idea.
okay. People slam certain matches. People slam right Dominator 2 versus Hypnotist, which is all by all means is a crap match.
Hmm.
People slam Toxic versus MR Speed Squared, which again rubbish match. People slam other really poor matches out there, but unfortunately they've all escaped. Like some of the Series 3
Actually,
matches.
Napalm versus Caterkiller.
Napalm versus Caterkiller. There you go. That's one. Napalm versus Warhog Series 5. But
Yeah.
at least something happened in those matches. At least the two of them, came into contact with each other more than once. At least there wasn't a stupid, fucking, pointless little plastic fucking vacuum cleaner with shopping trolley wheels on it doing bugger all and then committing suicide. This, hand on heart, ladies and gentlemen, is the single worst battle I have ever, ever, ever seen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, automatically brings this episode down by tenfold.
So Bugs lost then.
Yes.
That's what our conclusion is. It wasn't much of a fight to talk about apart from your rant, which is well deserved.
Thank you.
Fair enough. But yeah, so the second match was a slightly more probably the most eventful match of the whole heat was Saturn against Demolisher, because I mean it was one of those where I was like, hey, at least they actually went up to each other,
Yeah.
and
At least
then
they nudge each other a little bit.
Saturn broke down out of nothing, and
Yep.
then it got
And
and he got chainsawed in the face.
yes, nearly got cut in half, didn't it?
Yeah, that's like the one of the few times we told us that chainsaw really did any proper damage in its entire run.
Oh, yeah, I mean, apart from perhaps the Dreadnought in Series 4.
Yeah, a little bit, but again, that's why they changed the flywheel on Series 5 because it was it was just better in every way.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the
Just
chainsaw doesn't
retro.
cut. Chainsaws don't cut metal very well.
Imagine the flywheel in this
Um.
series against these featherweight. That would.
Oh my
I
god.
would pay money to see that. That would make me a happy boy just seeing that.
Yeah, it was like
But a
that.
little bit.
Yeah, it was like that in the Extreme One, that middleweight battle. tornado with
Yes.
Typhoon. That
Yeah.
is still that's to my day one of my favorite. Like in terms of just fun battles, that's one of them. It's just
Yeah,
one robot
definitely.
completely destroying every other robot in the entire battle. It's like
And the battlefield fading them.
yeah, actually, the probably I mean that's slightly off topic, but I think the most fun battle ever in existence is the We the Big Cheese prize fighter Wheelosaurus fight, because
Oh yeah, that was just
nobody focused on anything. They're just like We the Big Cheese instantly attacks Circular Lot, prize fighter spinning around, and Wheelosaurus just being Wheelosaurus, just doing something, and then they all go in
the
the pit in the end, and it's just
the
what
internet interaction was pretty good in series two.
oh that was classic,
Um,
yeah, that was funny.
but I think the funniest daft battle that I can think of, I've actually forgotten.
Oh,
Bloody hell! Literally, I was just thinking of it, and it just went. Oh joy! Isn't it fun when that happens?
brilliant
No,
name.
there was definitely. Oh, what was it? Oh god, what was it? What was it? You had Matilda in it. I know that much. Oh, that was it. I'm not a massive fan of Razor by any means, but Razor versus Widow's Revenge.
Oh, that was funny.
Just
That
sim- just simply because I mean I know they weren't really their wives,
yeah, yeah.
apart from Vinny Bud's missus being in there, but it just added to the fun. It was what Robot was all about. Teams having a laugh, destruction, Matilda, being a traitor to the women and mullering it. Them holding up signs saying "Bald Boy, Weasel, and Potato Features" was pretty good. One of those really silly battles, and obviously not every battle needs to be silly,
Hmm.
but it's good to have the odd daft one here and there, just to keep you entertained a little bit. That's why I love Extreme One so much, is because of how silly it was.
Hmm. But
More on
yeah,
that when we get to it.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but this battle was just kind of near, really, and that's
Yeah,
the most exciting one.
yeah. It's the best match of the night. That's not saying much. Next.
No, yeah, and the heat final. My God, nothing happened to this really. It was the most
Cunning
simple.
Plan drove forward.
Yeah, I don't even know why those two were so apprehensive for like
I
most of it. It's
know.
like just go out. Like even John Pierce, like go out, come on, do
If I'm
something.
being funny, right? This match was 14 seconds long, if I'm right thinking, which meant it was the fastest battle up until Cerberus beat Griffin at
Hmm.
11 seconds in Series 3.
Yeah,
More to that, which ironically, Cunning Plan was the record holder. Its successor was beaten to get the record. That's pretty cool, actually. Now I think about it.
yeah,
Sorry, anyway. Um, but yeah, when I think about it though, right, I mean, the only reason it lasted that long is because they were just so tentative to drive into each other. All
yeah,
Cunning Plan literally had to do was just drive forwards, and it would have done it in like 4 seconds,
yeah.
and that would have been a record that would have been unbeatable.
Hmm. I mean, I don't
Um,
get why Oliver Stevens was so upset after the battle. I was like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, it's like, who cares? You won.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're not going to win
Uh,
the series, but you won.
yeah, I'm a bit. I was. This is why I've wanted right with a rather Saturn was in the Heat final because it was a bit bigger. It wouldn't have happened. I still think Cunningham would have owned it, and it would have probably still been a dull battle, but it wouldn't have been over so quickly. We would have seen a bit more action, maybe a bit more of the house robots, maybe a grilling, not a pitting, but a grilling.
Yeah, yeah.
I just realised that's actually quite a good pun as well. Sorry, grilling. Oh, so yeah, well, easily the weakest Heat final of the lot. But then again, that's not really saying much,
yeah,
is it? Let's be
yeah,
honest.
this whole heat was really not the most interesting in the world, really. But yeah, so we have Cunning Plan going to the grand final. Good luck with your what 8 kilogram robot
Yes.
against
Yeah,
robots that are like
both-
80
yeah.
kilograms.
Apart from Tracy was the second heaviest robot, like 45 kilos, I think. She was a middleweight.
Wow. It
But,
doesn't look like
yeah,
a middleweight, admittedly. It looks quite heavy.
it looked quite, but I think it was very hollow.
Yeah, that's probably why.
One of those basic. Let's make a big robot but put nothing inside it.
Yeah.
Sort of
I mean,
things.
I know it's premature for that heat, obviously. 'Cause I think you'd be joining me for Trace's heat with the grand final, but I still don't get why it's two wheels. It looks like it should be four wheeled.
It should, I know, but yeah, early days, I guess is
Yeah,
the
I
best
guess
you can
so.
say.
Yeah, just put everything has two wheels in the casters. That's basically like half the robots in the series.
Yeah. So, James, what did you think of this heat? I think I
Well,
could answer. No, you're right. Got to explain to the audience because it's confusing. I know. I've actually tried to hear him explain it, guys. It is the most confusing and most random explanation ever. So go ahead.
yeah, this is my favorite and least favorite heat of the series at the same
Oh,
time.
oh, do you hear that? That's everybody scratching their heads.
Yes, I can understand. Even I am when I came to that conclusion, but it's it's looking because on the one hand, yes, everything you say is true. I mean, all the robots are shit apart from Cunning Plan and maybe Vector Armageddon. The robots are too small to even win the series. Half the robots didn't even a third of them were shit. But I don't know. At the same time, I always feel like if you took this heat out of context compared to every other heat, like this is just a bit like
One off.
it was an extreme episode or something.
Yeah.
Like
Like it was just an individual featherweight championship.
Yeah, and I think that's the way I like when it comes to this heat. I like to think of it. This is the only heat out of all of them I like to think of it this way, like because it's just because I'm not going to win. It's just I like to see it as just like a fun, weird featherweight heat where who gives a shit if they're crap or not? Are there any featherweights at this time?
It's the epitome of a silly match. It's just silly matches, which is what we were explaining this a minute ago. Of what kind of make it, fun.
Yeah, it's a weird paradox, but I kind of have it. I'm still not sure if I'm going to explain it properly, but at the same time, it's just that's how I feel. It's like on a technical level, Mortis's heat is probably the best one. Really. Maybe Roblox Heat, I don't know, because at least four of the robots are actually usable. But at the same time, this heat is just so silly to me. I don't know why. Like they just thought, yeah, we'll have all the featherweights in the same heat, and then one of them's going to go to the grand final and beat an 80-kilogram robot. We'll see how that works.
So technically speaking, the best heat is either A or B in your opinion. But
Technically best heat,
entertainment wise,
yeah,
and silliness wise and fun wise, Heat D.
yeah. I mean, this has become the catchphrase of these Series One reviews. Like Series Two,
Yes,
um, Series Two is not my least favorite series. I know it's your least favorite series.
it is.
But
Yes.
Series 5 is my least favorite series, but on a technical level, Series 2, I will fully admit, is the worst series of the whole bunch. But it's one of those series because it's the first one I saw, because I just kind of enjoyed how crap some of the robots are back in the day, like, watching back on it. It's just,
Mm.
I can't say no to it in a weird way. I can't say it's my least favorite because I just can't bring myself to say that. I know it's crap. It's like I don't know. It's like finding out your friend's lied to you about his name for about 20 years. Like, oh, he's actually this other person you've never known. It's like I still know you as you. I still
Yeah,
remember. I still remember the series as being fun, even though it is shit. Series 3 and 4. Well, actually, any series past series 3 onwards is better. But
yeah,
oh, I don't know. I just can't say no to series 2. And series 5 just bores me.
yeah.
I
That's
was
fair.
saying to Anson was I can't remember every heat individually. The only heat I can remember is Bigger Brother's Heat because it had all the really loads of shit robots in it. And that's not saying much for
11.
Series 5. I mean, you got like 11 and Three Stegs to Heaven, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. It's just I just can't hate Series 2 as much compared to Series 5 because I think boring me is worse than being bad, and because I don't remember you, and if I can't remember you, how can I have any connection to you?
Yeah,
So yeah, Series 2 I have much more of a connection to than Series 5. That's probably why I don't like it as much because it's just
yeah,
a bland series until the semi-finals kick in, and then it actually gets really good. The semi-finals is
yes,
one of the best semi-finals ever in the series, and
yeah,
grand final, in my opinion, the best grand final of the entire series, maybe tying with the new reboot one.
yes,
But it's just, oh, I don't know. But yeah, this is an example of like a heat like that. Like I can't hate it because it's just so silly, but at the same time, yeah, I'll admit it's the worst heat.
yeah.
But it's either that or the next heat, Body Hammer's heat, are my two least favorite heats of this technically of the series. But for fun factor, this is my favorite heat.
You see,
It's
for me, oh sorry,
no, I'm done. I was done. Sorry.
oh you don't. See, for me, honestly, I have to be honest here. I'm the complete opposite with you on that one. I don't find it fun. I find it makes me angry. Well, I mean, honestly, I know it shouldn't, but it does. It just that battle, for example. I'm sorry, that battle just drags it down straight away. There is no redeeming qualities after that. It makes me angry that. But I know it was the first series. I know they had to fill up this void, fill up the spaces. But why not just do 4 heats and then do like a normal grand final episode where you have the two eliminators, the playoff, and the final, and then have this as its own individual featherweight tournament.
Hmm.
There was no, when you look at it that way, there was no reason to have this. That meant, and also that by that logic, no stock robots,
Hmm.
etc., etc. It wouldn't have been such a long series. You wouldn't have had to cram so much in the last episode with one six-way final battle.
Hmm.
And I just think this heat was lackluster. It didn't have anything going for it. Featherweights at the time just weren't as good as they were going to become. I mean, don't get me wrong. Without this heat, yeah, fair enough. People wouldn't have probably given too much of a cack about the featherweights as they do now.
Hmm.
But at the same time, it was still a poor start for them. and it just really wasn't a very good heat in my opinion. And again, like I said, there were too many issues with the trials and the gauntlet for my liking. The best robot of the heat, in my opinion, one of the two best robots of the heat, lost in the first round. The other one was the obvious winner from there on for me. Uh, Three rubbish battles. It really aggravated me, and I'm sorry to say, but yeah, 2 out of 10
Fair
was
enough.
my rating for this one.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
because I don't do scoring systems, but yeah. First of all, you're wrong. No, no. Yeah. Again, I can always see when people are coming from. Again, like Series Two, everyone says it's crap. I know it's crap, but it's to me, it's entertaining crap. I don't know. It's one of those things.
Yeah,
But
it's like the room.
yeah, no, that's insulting to the room. The room's actually hilarious. Series Two is frustrating, but in a good way. I don't know, but yeah. Cunning Plan obviously won. Next week is if I exclude this as just like a random heat and like the other serious contenders who made it to the heat final, this grand final. This one is my least favorite because
Yeah.
oh god, I hate at least. Do I actually? I think I like two of the robots.
Well,
Two.
I look forward to hearing your rant about that next week.
I hate four of the six of the robots in this next heat. So yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Nice one.
But yeah, I think this review has has come to an end now. I think so.
It has, yes.
I'd like to thank Anderson for once again joining me for another heat.
You're welcome. Sorry to anybody who's watching. I thought I was too harsh, but deal with it.
You weren't you from what I've discussed you before. You weren't harsh enough.
No, yeah, I'll tell you what. This was like 3 years ago. Yeah, this video will
uh,
be banned.
oh yeah, and I'm Jimjamatic, so I'm signing off, and you'll sign off then.
Yeah, well, I'm signing off. See
All
you
right
next time.
then. All right, see you later then.